I had my share of lovers after divorce, one which lasted for 3 years. But nothing stuck. I was still reeling from unresolved childhood, adolescent, and young adult trauma. I did not know how to exist in healthy relationships. I had to learn how to love myself before I could let anyone else love me. And certainly I had to love myself before I could learn how to love anyone else. I only got a full handle on that in the past 5 or 6 years. And now, my body is older, but my emotions and my mind are finally capable of receiving and expressing love. I've been nearly celibate for over 20 years, figuring things out, not wishing to cause further pain to myself or to others. I've been mostly aloof, apart, distant, solitary, a monkish existence, careful to avoid personal desire, the source of all human suffering from the Buddhist perspective. I had wrapped myself in a husk of hard leather, composed of emotional scar tissue. I was safe that way, but I was also immune from the good and joyous feelings as well. And then I met her. Unexpectedly, I wanted to feel things again. My life shifted gears. Her presence pulsed into me like a jolt from a psychic defibrillator on my nearly flatlined soul. Drifting through this wasteland of confused potential, I was instantaneously drawn to her. Oh, sure, I was making it all up. It was just all too unreal. And the intensity of this resurrection, resuscitation would be difficult to sustain. And sure, there were any number of reasons why this love would be unlikely to ever flourish. And sure, all things are impermanent. And sure, there I was in my present condition, and there she was in hers, oceans of difference away. If reckoned from the popular perspective, I ignored all those things. All the practical considerations which throw water on the instantaneous flash of love's mysterious flare. There existed this sense of union, this etheric connection, this unfathomable sense of connection and attraction. The universe became a kaleidoscopic panorama, changing and whirling about me like being in the eye of some kind of cosmic typhoon. And how it saddened me to think that if the her I intuited would somehow go unappreciated. How odd this meeting, fraught with uncommon complexity, apparently unreal, evidently unlikely, seemingly off-key. Visions and thoughts of her occupied my drowsing states that passed for sleep. She occupied my dreams, standing, floating in a large cavernous space, radiant in the ether of pure joy. She was there. And I gazed into her eyes and I swooned, unable to take in the power of it all. In the morning, my dim consciousness gradually returned to me, and I recalled that I had been so long in the deserted places, unable to find a truly desirable, worthy other with which to connect. And I was amazed at being aware that my body longed to be near her body. And I imagined her not far away geographically, as geography goes, and I wondered why I was not lying next to her. And visions of her mystery smile and her perfectly shaped legs and filled my consciousness, and I heard her voice in my mind, so sweetly resonant, hinting at an understated maturity, a maturity that alludes to and points to the wisdom of immortals. And I imagined her glowing radiance, and it lit me up, and it lit up the innermost recesses of my heart space, and I considered the possibility of her co-authoring with me an exciting, heartwarming, pleasure-positive romp into the future. And I knew I could not write such a tale by myself. And even if I could, it would be missing exactly half of the necessary characters that would make it so special. Perfect. She never led me on in any way, and I was aware that my many personal stories to her may have been too many. So I offered not to send anymore. And she replied and assured me that they did not occur to her as a nuisance, and she said that she liked getting them, and she regretted not being able to respond because she was so busy. So I continued to allow these flights of rapture to flow from my mind and into digital space. And her replies to me were sparse, but indicated that she was extraordinarily touched by receiving them. And she made no effort. I mean, again, she's busy and not able to respond. That didn't dampen my output. I just kept pouring them out.
Yes, you did.
It didn't dampen my output. Just kept on pouring them out. So I had been the pursuer. Clearly, I had been the pursuer, and she the pursued. Another strange thing about all this is that we'd never been alone together. Yeah. You know, in times past when I felt that kind of a powerful attraction for a woman, we'd usually had sex within the week and a half. And, you know, after that, then is when all these flights of fantasy would begin. That wasn't the case with her. Our only real physical contact has been me holding her hands, or, sometimes, rarely upon departing, I placed my closed lips on her cheek or neck. But I did allow myself to imagine much more. And in so doing, have crossed borders of exotic territory that is foreign, yet oddly alluring to me, so long as I focused on my vision of her and the love burning inside of me. I took out a membership at a gym to bring my body back into its optimal condition.
Good.
And I had my hair and my beard dyed blue. I wanted it purple for the first time ever in my entire life, intending to become more attractive. The most beautiful expressions of love and attraction continued to flow out of me. It was more intense than like wearing your heart on your sleeve. Oh no. It was more like blood gushing from the severed artery of love's own bleeding heart. And then one morning, I was broadsided by the bumper of a 2-ton car while riding my motorcycle to the gym. A direct hit to the right side of myself and the bike. Fortunately, it was a low-speed impact, 12-15 miles an hour. My helmet smashed into the pavement with some force. I was unresponsive when the ambulance arrived. They cut every single piece of clothing from my body. Put me on a stretcher, stuck 3 IVs in my arms, whisked me off to the hospital. I was x-rayed, CAT scanned, MRI. Spent an overnight in the hospital and 30 hours flat on my back. Discharged the following afternoon. No loss of blood, no broken bones, no dislocations, severe pain and swelling in my right foot, severe pain in my neck, radiating headaches up into my head. When I first looked at myself in the mirror, I freaked out. An ancient man in a neck brace, wild-looking blue hair, rumpled beard stared back at me. I really didn't like what I saw. And I spewed out some very negative self-talk to the image in the mirror. Here's kind of what came out. Listen up and get with it, you romantic idiot. Forget it. You're a dreamer. Life isn't what you want it to be. It's just what it is. you and your, young dream girl are not to be. Suck it up, kid. You're all washed up. It's past your time. But I was more concerned with my attractiveness quotient than I was with my actual injuries. I just couldn't get her out of my mind. Every minute of every hour she'd appear in my mind, and my inspirational words continued to gush out of all this love language. My racing heart spun out fantasies of poetic futures and festooned with all these glittering jewels of idyllic love. Then my mind stirred, and the cold wind of reality blew. And it was as if my heart's fantasies were being hunted down by a squadron of government drones. Practical considerations relating to contemporary Earth life imposed themselves and crowded out the purity of being. Surfacing, those practical considerations began to shoot my love-inspired dream world right out of the sky. One direct hit after another. The attack of the drones at the culture thought police filled the sky, and I was beset by the hounds of rational clarity, which bedeviled me on my forays into the enchanted forest. I strained to fight off the encroaching practical realities, and I struggled, tinged with the tainted honor of soldiers who annihilate to become the last men standing on the battlefield. Ancient, primitive, masculine brides strutting themselves in the presence of the fair damsel, longing for a sense of security and protection secured by the bloodied, self-sacrificing hero. Truly, she is strong and hard as titanium, clad flint, and as soft and pliable as hand-kneaded kaolin powder mixed with lukewarm water. And she is as cold as a chunk of hail formed in the torrent of Thor's own abode. And she is as warm as the fur between puppies nursing at their mother's teats. She is sufficient unto her powerful self, and she is as vulnerable as a frightened child. I wanted to be her refuge and fortress from her storms, and I wanted to be her comfort zone. And I struggled to hold on to that dream, to that improbable reality, that probable possibility. I wanted to unite with the source of my most recent inspirational flights into rapturous joys. The battle is nearly